back to Scott's Swing Sports Day, ladies and gentlemen. I'm back here by myself again today with my dad at work. Let's get into my college football and NFL predictions. I'm already 1-1 on the week after picking UCF to win last night, and they did. And I picked the Bears to win last night, but unfortunately they didn't. So let's get into the predictions for the week. First game out tomorrow. Great weekend of college football this weekend. It'll be number 10 Penn State heading in to the Big House to take on number 5 Michigan. Give me J.J. McCarthy and Michigan to get the win here. I would love to see both Michigan and Ohio State undefeated going into that game on Thanksgiving weekend. So I'm going to stick with that. I'm going to go with Michigan at home to get it done against Penn State. Next up, Auburn and Ole Miss. I'm going to go with Ole Miss to get the win here. It's probably the second best team in the SEC West this year. I'm not a little surprised by that, but I'm going to go with Ole Miss to get the win here at home over Auburn. Next up, Oklahoma and Kansas. ESPN's, I guess, expecting Dillon Gabriel to be back this week, and I'm going to believe that. I'm going to go with Dillon Gabriel and Oklahoma to get the win here at home. I think Brett Venables knows he's on the hot seat right now. Even 1 year into his tenure here at Oklahoma, I think he's on the hot seat at 3-3. So I'm going to go with Oklahoma to get the win here at home over Kansas. Next up, Iowa State and Texas. From Darrell K. Royal Stadium. I'm going to go with Texas to get the win here at home. 69 degrees tomorrow in Austin. I'm going to go with Texas to get the win here at home over Iowa State. Next up, Minnesota and Illinois should be a great game. I'm going to go with Minnesota on the road to get the win here. I think Minnesota's had a little bit of a better season than Illinois has. So I'm going to go with Minnesota to get the win here on the road over Illinois. Next up, Vandy and Georgia. Georgia got back on track last week against Auburn. Georgia favored by 38 points this week. I'm going to take Vandy to cover, but I think Georgia's not going to cover the spread this week. I'm going to go with Vandy in the points. I think Georgia finds a way to get this win outright, but I'm going to go with Vandy and the 38 points. Next up, Oklahoma State and TCU. Two undefeated teams here at home. From Fort Worth. I'm going to go with Mike Gundy and Oklahoma State to get the win here. I think they know that they want to get into the college football playoff last year after choking away their chance to make the college football playoff last year in the Big 12 championship game against Baylor. So I'm going to go with Oklahoma State to get the win here at home on the road in Fort Worth against TCU. Next up, another very good game it'll be NC State and Syracuse. Give me NC State to get the win here. I think NC State's a little bit of a better team than Syracuse is. Got a great win last week against Florida State. So I'm going to go with NC State to get the win here on the road in Syracuse against the Orange. Next up, first year in the FBS, as undefeated James Madison come into this game against Georgia Southern. First year in the Sun Belt for James Madison as they come into as a Division I team this year. Give me James Madison to get the win here. They were very good in the FCS. Now they're here in the FBS, and they're doing very good. So I'm going to go with James Madison to get the win here on the road against Georgia Southern. Next up, Dabo Swinney and Clemson heading into Tallahassee to take on Florida State. Florida State coming off a 2-game losing streak now. I told my buddy Riley and Brad that this is when Florida State season would start losing some games. I'm going to stick with that. I'm going to go with Dabo Swinney and Clemson to get the win here on the road in Tallahassee against Florida State. So give me Clemson on the road over Florida State. Next up, Mississippi State and Kentucky. Big game here. Mississippi State favored by 4 points here on the road. I need to know about Kentucky's quarterback situation right now to decide this game. But because they're at home, and because I don't want to get hate from my buddy Terry Jewell this week for tomorrow at softball, I'm going to go with Kentucky to get the win here at home over Mississippi State. Next up, USC and Utah. Big game here on the road. I told my buddy JT Dangerously on YouTube earlier this week that this is going to be the first test that USC has this year, and I think they're going to pass it with flying colors. I'm going to go with Laken Riley, Caleb Williams, and USC to find a way to get the win on the road in Salt Lake City. 66 degrees tomorrow night in Salt Lake City, Utah. I'm going to go with USC to get the win here on the road in Salt Lake City against Utah. And now the College Game Day game of the week. Massive game. 2 top 10 teams going at it, as it'll be Bryce Young and number 3 Alabama heading in to Knoxville to take on Josh Heupel and number 6 Tennessee. Again, I need to know the quarterback situation right now if I want to decide this game. But for me, I think Bryce Young plays. So I'm going to go with Alabama to get the win here on the road in Knoxville and give Josh Heupel his first loss of the season. But I'm very happy to see Josh Heupel doing well at Tennessee. I think that they are the second best team in the SEC East right now. But I don't think it's going to matter here. I'm going to go with Alabama to get the win here on the road somehow, some way. They get out of Knoxville with a win in Neyland Stadium. Now into the NFL picks for the weekend. Like I said, I'm 0-1 coming into Sunday after picking the Bears to win last night. First game out, the San Francisco 49ers heading in to Atlanta to take on a very pissed off Atlanta Falcons team after what happened to them last week. I would not be shocked to see the Falcons pull this game off, but I don't think it's going to happen. I'm going to take the Niners to win this game by about a touchdown over the Falcons. Next up, Bailey Zappi and the New England Patriots heading into Cleveland to take on the Browns. I'm going to go with the Browns at home. I think the Browns are a little bit better than the Patriots are right now. I think Bill Belichick's a great coach, but I don't know if the Patriots can win this game. I'm going to go with the Browns at home over the Pats. Next up, the very surprising 3-2 New York Jets heading into Lambeau Field to take on Aaron Rodgers and the Packers. Give me Aaron Rodgers and the Packers to rebound after last week. That was an absolutely embarrassing performance last week by them, as they lost to the Giants last week, but I don't think they lose again here. Give me the Packers at home over the Jets. Next up, the Jacksonville Jaguars, again coming off a tough loss last week to Houston, as they head into Indy to take on the Colts. I'm going to go with Trevor Lawrence and the Jags to get back on track, and they use James Robinson this week. So I'm going to go with the Jaguars to get the win here on the road in Indy against the Colts. Next up, the Minnesota Vikings coming into South Beach to take on Skylar Thompson this week and the Miami Dolphins. I am unfortunately going with the Minnesota Vikings to get the win here. I know it's a team coming from the Midwest coming down here to the state of Florida in October. 81 degrees expected for kickoff on Sunday. It's probably going to be warmer than that. I'm going to go with the Minnesota Vikings to get the win on the road in Miami against the Dolphins. Next up, it'll be Joe Burrow and the Cincinnati Bengals heading into New Orleans to take on, I'm thinking it's going to be Andy Dalton this week and the Saints. I'm going to go with Joe Burrow and the Bengals to get the win here. Again, last chance for them to prove me wrong this year.
Woo-hoo.
I'm going to go with Joe Burrow and the Bengals to get the win here on the road in New Orleans against the Saints.
Go Joe!
Next up, Lamar Jackson and the Baltimore Ravens heading into East Rutherford, New Jersey to take on the surprising 4-1 Danny Dimes and the Giants. 59 degrees on Sunday afternoon for this one. I'm going to go with Lamar Jackson and the Ravens to get the win here on the road. And their defense looked much better last week. They've probably been hearing everybody in national media talking about how bad their defense was. Last week, they finally showed up and played some defense last week. I'm going to go with the Ravens on the road over the Giants.
Go Lamar Jackson!
Next up, Tom Brady and the Bucs heading into Pittsburgh to take on Kenny Pickett and the Pittsburgh Steelers.
Go Bucks!
I'm going to go with the Bucs here to find a way to win this game. Favored by 9 points this week. I don't know if we're going to cover that spread because we haven't looked ourselves all season. A lot of people are asking for Todd Bowles to be fired after his first season.
Please.
I'm with it. I mean,
please.
The defense has not looked as good as it can this season. But I'm going to go with the Bucs to find a way to win this game on the road.
Whoop whoop whoop! Go Bucks.
Next up, the Carolina Panthers heading in to LA to take on the Rams. PJ Walker starting quarterback this week with Baker Mayfield injured this week. I'm going to go with Matt Stafford and the Rams to get back on track here. I think the Rams know they got to win this game to stay alive for the number 1 seed in the NFC. So I'm going to go with the Rams to get the win here at home in SoFi Stadium against Carolina. Next up, the Arizona Cardinals heading in to Seattle to take on the Seahawks. The surprising Seattle Seahawks, who already have 2 wins. I didn't expect them to have any wins at this point. I'm going to go with Kyler Murray and the Arizona Cardinals to get the win here. I think Kyler will play better this week. I need him to play well in a couple of weeks when I have to start him in fantasy. So I'm going to go with Kyler Murray and the Arizona Cardinals to get the win here on the road. They have not lost a road game this year. I don't think they lose one here. I'm going to go with Kyler Murray and the Cardinals to get the win here on the road in Seattle over the Seahawks. Next up, and probably one of the biggest games of the year. I don't know why they don't flip this game to Monday Night Football with how bad Monday Night Football is going to be this week. It'll be Josh Allen and the Buffalo Bills heading in to Kansas City to take on Patrick Mahomes and the Kansas City Chiefs. A rematch of the AFC divisional game. Probably one of the best games I've ever seen in my life last year.
Game of the week.
I'm going to go with Josh Allen and the Buffalo Bills to get the win here. I think they know they got to win this game because I don't think they want to go back to Arrowhead in January for the AFC Championship game. I think they'd rather bring Kansas City to Buffalo for the AFC Championship game. So I'm going to go with Josh Allen and the Buffalo Bills to get the win here on the road in Arrowhead against the Chiefs.
Go Bills.
Next up it'll be Sunday Night Football, and I agree with this one. This game should be in prime time. It'll be Cooper Rush and the 4-1 Dallas Cowboys heading into Lincoln Financial Field to take on Jalen Hurts and the 5-0 Philadelphia Eagles.
Whoop, whoop.
I'm going to go with the Eagles at home. I think the Eagles know they got to win this game. They don't want to be tied because they still have to go to Dallas later this year. I'm going to go with Jalen Hurts and the Eagles to get the win here at home over the Cowboys. Next up, Monday Night Football, like I said, should be a horrible matchup this week. It'll be Russell Wilson and the Denver Broncos heading into LA to take on Justin Herbert and the Chargers. NFL, one question. Why do you keep putting the Broncos in prime time? They're one of the most boring teams to watch in the NFL. Give me Justin Herbert and the Chargers to get the win here at home. I think Keenan Allen hopefully will be back this week. I've been waiting 3 weeks to have this guy back in my lineup. He hasn't played since week 1. I think my buddy Kyle Hymas will be happy on Monday night. I'm going to go with the Chargers at home over the Broncos. And just for you fantasy football owners, all the people on bias this week are the Lions, the Titans, the Raiders, and the Texans. So check your fantasy lineups on Sunday morning for all your bye-week players. And I will see you guys right back here next week on Scott Swing Sports with more college football and NFL predictions. See you later, guys.